Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
Hello and welcome to Hockey Night in Australia. Thanks for joining us on your Wednesday. I'm joined by Eric Brook, Courtney Kynaston, and Sean O'Connor. Abby Richards is producing in the background, and I'm Gordon Goodenough. We are Hockey Hype Australia. You can find us at www.hockeyhypeaustralia.com.au, and you can find us on socials at Hockey Hype AUS. We have a pretty big episode today. We are interviewing a player each from the Rurak teams. So we have lined up for you Mitch Dyck, Matthew Wombat Harvey, and of course Liam Manwarring for the Newcastle North Stars. So bit of a bonza episode, and we've already got Bill Taylor. Happy finals week. It's a bit of a festival kind of feel to this week, isn't it, peeps?
Certainly is, and Phil got in first.
The excitement for finals has just been building and building, and for me, it's the first one I've been at since North Stars went back to back, so I'm pretty excited to be down there.
And Sean O'Connor with us from Phillippi Skating and Swimming Centre, of course. You won't be at finals, but you're going to be doing a bunch of work in the background. I saw your graphics on AIHL Fans today. They look pretty cool.
Yeah, Dan, thanks. Obviously there'll be lots of stuff to be done in the background, both on Hockey Hype as well as AI Fans. And I'm just hoping that everyone who does get to travel down has a great time. I will hopefully get some caribou while I'm here.
Get a moose. No, not a moose head. What's a Canadian Labatt Blue? Get a Labatt Blue if you can from Moosehead. Says G, good evening all. We've got William Jordan Hayes. Hello to you. Lucas Aracini, good evening to you over in Perth. Parker St. Clair, vote a Melbourne public holiday in the future prior to finals. 100%.
Yep, Parker, you're on Melbourne. The money.
Make it national.
Yeah, let's do it everywhere.
And Willie Krauser from Krauser Sports Photography. Balance is restored. Welcome back, team. Missed you all last week. Yes, I've been recovering from pneumonia. So we didn't have an episode last week, but we got this organized for you. And Paul Finesse finals. Can't wait. So, folks, what's the expectations for Rurak Conference heading into finals?
Well, let's hope that they have a bit better time versus the Hellier teams than they did during the regular season, right? That was very interesting stats today, GG.
Oh yes. So don't throw me under the bus, but I just finished calculating. So in games between Hellier and Rurak teams, there were 210 points on offer total in those 70 games, and Hellier teams took 70% of those points. So a bit of a imbalance there, but some teams
did wonder what it is compared to last season.
Last season, I do have those figures actually in my Excel spreadsheet. Last season was 71.04%. So theoretically, it's a little bit better this season than last season. So nature is healing. Maybe if we just leave it like in 20 years' time, it'll be 50%. So.
Yeah, if they're coming down by that percentage point each season, it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
So did the Rurak teams perform better this year compared to last year, do you think, GG?
I think so. And I think some teams were pretty unlucky too, like in the Rurak Conference. Like, you think of the Canberra Brave, obviously, dumped a bunch of points because they were under strength. Newcastle as well were missing players and injured players. Adelaide, couldn't get scoring. But, like, every team was competitive, right?
Yeah. That was the big
Heading in.
difference,
So-
and I think that's why it's still like there's been an improvement. Is the fact that the Rhinos and Adrenaline were taking a lot more points this season than they were last year, but because Canberra were taking less, the overall percentage is still similar.
Yeah.
So going to Erina wasn't a guaranteed 3 points. Going to Adelaide wasn't a guaranteed 3 points. This
Yeah,
year.
that's right.
Not at all. Not at all. Yeah. And Boondall
But
as well.
equally,
Brisbane,
yeah.
you know, they beat Perth twice, right? Oh no, they beat Perth once. They beat the Melbourne Ice. Like they beat legit teams, the Lightning. So
yeah, it's been quite amazing to see that change.
yeah,
And like, but even in Helio, like the Ice Dogs were taking a lot more points this season than last season as well. So even going down to Macquarie to versus the Ice Dogs wasn't necessarily a victory anymore.
no, and the Ice Dogs. Oh, sorry, Courtney.
I was just going to say the beauty of finals hockey, and I think what we're going to see over the weekend is players just switch on a different gear. It's like mentally, something happens in your mind in finals hockey, and so much can happen. So I don't know that even though yes, Helly has taken a lot of the points through the season, the way players just naturally switch into gear without really thinking about it could see some upsets happen. So
yeah, and I think people are going to hear that from the interviews that are coming up as well, both tonight and tomorrow night, just how much the players look forward to finals when they make finals and how different they take it, like, and how excited they are for it. So, yeah, it definitely makes a difference. And it's just a different beast. Like one game elimination, like is so different from picking up points to try and finish top of the table.
I think that some of the teams, what they're going to do, or all of the teams for that matter, are going to do those little 1%ers. Like they'll finish off their checks. They might reach into the air to grab a puck that's in the air instead of letting it go during the regular season, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's very similar to like State of Origin and rugby league, right? You know, they always give that extra percentage when they're playing that that tournament.
Yeah, 110%. Man, if I had $1 for every time I heard 110%, I wouldn't be doing this podcast, that's for sure. No, I'd still be doing it, of course. But
pucks in deep,
man,
pucks in deep,
pucks
doing
in
it for
deep,
boys.
Yeah. But just a brief shout out to our quality assurance partner TTC. Are you ready to elevate your software to the next level? Our quality partner TTC Global works with companies to ensure software meets your customers' needs and is ready for the real world. Whether you're a startup launching your first website and app or an enterprise upgrading your internal systems, the expert team at TTC Global has got your testing angles covered on everything from functionality and security to performance and accessibility. Victory is in the details. So reach out on Australia at ttcglobal.com using the code HHA2024 and get on the power play with TTC Global today. They test so that you can sit back and enjoy the hockey. And I'm wearing a Hockey Hype Australian TTC. Which way do I go? I need to cover this horrendous Mickey Mouse. I'm just going to put that there on the floor, and it's going to move during the broadcast, isn't it? So should we get into it? We did pre-record these just so you're all aware, folks. But if you've got questions or comments or whatever, put them in the chat, and then we'll get to them in between the interviews. But without further ado, and I hope this works, here is Matt Harvey, Matt Wombat Harvey. No, Mitch Dyck. We're doing 3-2-1. So we're doing Brisbane, Canberra, and Newcastle. The wheels are falling off. And Ben Armstrong, the Disney lawyers, will be in contact shortly. Yes, let's get Mitch Dyck. And here we go. And we are here with Brisbane Lightning defenseman Mitch Dyck. Of course, I'm joined by Abby Richards, Tristan Metcalf, Sean O'Connor, Courtney Kynaston. Mitch, welcome along. Thank you for taking the time to join us.
Yeah, thanks for having me here. I'm excited to see how this goes.
So this is your first season, obviously, in the AIHL. You've made finals. The Brisbane Lightning have now made finals twice in the first 2 seasons. What does it mean to the team and to the franchise? I know there's a new ownership group now this year with Michael and Julie Sugden. What does it mean to be able to compete at the final weekend of the AIHL season?
Yeah, it means a lot. Obviously, I wasn't here last year, and from what I hear from the other guys, is the team is very different from last year to this year. And with Mike and Julie taking over this year, the big goal for them was to make playoffs. And typically, when new ownership or some big change happens with a team, it can go through a bit of a dark period. But we've been able to be competitive all year. We had a bit of a slump there, but being able to make it to playoffs, I think just shows that the owners are really treating us well, and we're competing hard for them, and everything's working pretty well.
Nice. Mitch, with this being sort of your first year out here in Australia, what sort of adjustments do you need to make to your game and to hockey in general, coming from North America across?
I think the biggest change I noticed is just the reffing standards, just being that this is a IIHF reffing standards, and back in Canada, it's just slightly different rules. So a lot tighter on a lot of the stick infractions. And even the box as a D-man boxing out in front of the net, they're way more likely to call interference calls and stuff like that. I found that out my first game. Actually, I got an interference call and got into a little bit of an argument with the ref because I was confused as to what was going on.
Did you win the argument?
No, you never win an argument with the ref. Other than that, the pace of play has been good. I don't really think the hockey itself is that much different, or it would be any more different than if I was to just join a new team in North America. Like, you have to get used to new teammates and their style of play. Other than that, with Mike Sarant coming along and helping coach here, he was my coach for 5 years at University of Manitoba, so there's a lot of crossover with that for me.
How have you found the Australian fan base, not just in Brisbane, but when you're visiting other rinks, compared to what you're used to over in Canada?
It varies a lot. In Brisbane here, we have a very, very loyal fan base, which is great. They're always loud and they're always cheering. And then, some rinks seem to be pretty quiet, and I know Sydney has a lot of fans. They show up, but it's such a big space.
And they're quite far away.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just a little bit distant. Whereas on the other side of things, like in Canberra, you're in a little metal box with people screaming their heads off. And you kind of have everything between. Like, Newcastle has really loud fans. They love poking at your feelings a little bit when you're on the ice and yelling at you and stuff, which is all good. It's part of the game. And I think it's compared to North America, it's passionate fans are passionate fans. So some rinks are going to be quieter than others. Some rinks are going to be ruder than others. You get everything along the spectrum while here.
I'm sure it's taken a bit of time to get used to the different level of facilities we've got over here too, because they also vary dramatically around the league. How have you found that aspect?
Yeah, that's been an eye-opening experience. I grew up in a small town in the prairies of Canada, so I have played in a rink with chicken wire for glass and with big gaps in the boards before, but that was as a 10 to 12-year-old kid. Playing a pretty high-level hockey in some facilities that may not be up to a standard I'm used to. It took some getting used to, and I had to maybe not be as aggressive on the boards in rinks with no glass, just because if you take a hit, you can get a rib right on the corner of those boards. So there's just these little things that I had to get used to.
Well, luckily the finals will be in Melbourne, so probably our premier facility. So
yeah, Melbourne's a great facility. Yeah.
Just on the back of that, how have you found the travel? Because the flights are there's some locations are a lot further than others, particularly flying out of Brisbane. How have you found that?
For the most part, it hasn't been too bad. Playing youth sports in Canada, we would fly and play back-to-back games on the weekend. So the game structure and the timing of the games is very similar, but we would always fly out the day before. So flying and playing the day of on those, like the Adelaide flight is a little bit longer, and the Perth flight is kind of brutal. That's that one you definitely feel the legs the first half of the game on the day of travel there.
Yeah, right.
So, Mitch, probably swinging a little bit into this season. Like, you've had a great season yourself. Being a D man, you've led the Lightning in scoring this year, and you've scored more points against the Ice than you have any other team this year. So, does that give you a bit of confidence coming into Friday's game with them?
Yeah. I mean, all year our team has had the feeling that the Ice, any team in this league is beatable, and with the structure of the playoffs being a single game elimination, like anything can happen. And I think throughout the year, we've shown that I think we've beat every team this year, at least once. So I think that just goes to show that on the right day, even though we're the bottom seed going into the playoffs, like if we get hot, which we plan to, 3 days, 3 games, and anything can happen.
Nice.
Are there any preparations that your team are taking in this final week just to ensure that you're ready for playoffs?
Yeah, last week we had a couple of good training sessions. We kept it really intense, keeping the competition up with some battle games and stuff. Obviously not getting too heated to where we're taking each other out, but the compete's been really good, and coaching staff has been really pushing us to not take these 2 weeks off for granted. We're keeping the intensity up. We're trying to stay in shape and keep it as much game-like as we can in practices. Training this week, I'm sure we'll dial it back a little bit just so we stay fresh and, really smooth out our systems and make sure everything is strategically sound for our game on Friday.
Do you think playing the early game on Friday is an advantage if you guys win and advance to the next stage?
I mean, you can look at it either way, I think, because the time difference between playing that first game or the second game compared to the next day, I don't think 2 or 3 hours is going to make too much of a difference. We're just really focused on, we get in the Thursday, and then it'll just be, all business from there, and we'll take it one game at a time, and then just hopefully everyone just stays fresh as much as you can throughout the weekend.
We've got the first Mongolian player ever in the league, Batu Gendanov. There's not too many players, Mitch, that's I met him, I shook his hand. His hand just dwarfed mine. He's a big dude, and I know you're a big dude as well, but what's it like having a guy like him on the team? And he's been ultra consistent, certainly through the back half, the business end of the season.
Yeah, Batu is awesome. He is the Mongolian monster, whatever you want to call him. Yeah, he's super consistent on the ice and even off the ice. He's actually a big goofball. He's always joking around. He's got that big grin on his face most of the time when we're cracking jokes. But when it comes to hockey, he's very serious, takes it very seriously, and I think that just is proven by his play and how consistent he is. Like, talk about an ideal power forward, just getting in on pucks, using his size, making stuff happen. Yeah, he's been a very big part of our team.
You sort of touched on this a moment ago, just saying focusing on Friday for now, but do you have a message in the group and some preparation that you could be looking at 3 games in 3 days? What's just sort of happening as a unit to prepare for that?
I think it's just been obviously, in hockey, the end of the season's over. We're all going to go out. We're going to have a good time, celebrate a winning season and stuff. But it's always been clear that, hey, we got to make sure we're physically and mentally ready for the weekend. 3 games in 3 days is no joke. So especially leading up to the games this week, we've trained in this evening yet. So we'll be communicate and be like, hey guys, like I know it sounds corny, but drink your water every day, try to get like a good amount of sleep, and all those annoying little cliches. It's almost like your parents are just like in the back of your head and you're a little kid, so just trying to make sure give ourselves the best opportunity to play at our peak for as long as possible throughout the weekend.
And have any of your teammates sort of given you some tips and thoughts for what finals weekend is like?
The main thing I hear is that anything can happen, so just be ready.
That's
Probably
good advice.
Yeah.
Building on that a little bit, Mitch, being a new team, the Lightning doesn't have probably the same finals experience, at least in the AIHL, that some of the other teams do. But you do have Sam Hoddick, who's a good All Cup winner and is pretty familiar with Melbourne. Have you been tapping into Sam's local knowledge at all?
Oh, it's not hard to tap into Sam's local knowledge. He's a very local guy. He's always yapping in the room. And yeah, he's awesome. And he's just reassuring guys that, like, even aside from our whole appeal process with Curtis, it's like anything can happen, guys. You got all it takes is 3 days of good hockey and you can win a league. Like, that's one of the.
What do you think is one of the biggest strengths of the
you are.
Lightning this season, Mitch?
Sorry, what was that?
What's one of the biggest strengths of your team this season that can sort of propel you to that good All Cup?
I'd say we have a phenomenal goalie in Curtis Meager. Like, when he's on, he's unstoppable. And then just our systems, when we play that simple game and just, it sounds cheesy, but, getting pucks in deep, forechecking hard, getting the puck back, working it, not giving the puck up unnecessarily, and just simple, plain hockey. Like, it's been proven to work throughout the whole year. So it's just a matter of sticking to it.
Yeah, I think we as a group this year have actually mentioned just how good the Lightning are when they play that simple hockey and they force the opposition to play similar.
Yeah, it's like just let the other team make the mistakes and we play our game.
Yeah.
One question that I've been asking everyone to kind of finish the sentence, that the Brisbane Lightning winning the good old cup would mean what to you?
Ooh, Brisbane Lightning winning the good old cup would mean what? It would mean a lot. I came here being an import player. You're expected to help out with the team as much as possible. So I feel like I owe this team as much as I can to make them as successful as possible. So getting the championship would just kind of relieve that duty off my shoulders, knowing that as a team we all did what we could, and personally that if I can contribute as much as I can to a championship, then I'm just going to be happy for the team. Thanks for bringing me over here. Like, I hope this is compensation for what it cost you.
Do you think you'll be back again, Mitch?
I've had a great time here. I've been asked this by quite a few people, and I'm going back to North America this I guess it'll be winter in North America, the summer here. Not really sure what. Sorry?
Have you already signed for a team?
No, I haven't yet. So things are very up in the air for me in the next 5 months. So I've just told people who've asked me that reach out to me in February when I know what's going on in April.
Nice.
Yeah.
It'd be great to have you back anyway. You've been phenomenal so far this season. So
thank you.
When I came up in June, when the North Stars had their doubleheader up, I had the pleasure of having great chat with Julie, one of the owners. One of the things she said to me about the team this year was how she really wanted everyone to focus more on very strong hockey structure and playing well in good systems. So I'm just curious from that player's perspective, how that implementation has helped you have such a good season.
Yeah, I think a lot of what Julie was saying there stems from last year. From what I've heard, it was a pretty run and gun kind of show for the Lightning. It was either you win 9-7 or you lose 8-6 or something like that. But yeah, like it's been like bringing like Mike Saran coming over, having the vast coaching knowledge and experience that he has helped a lot. And like I said before, he's been my coach for 5 years, so I knew a lot of the systems he was already going to bring in play, a lot of the drills, which is good. And it also gave me a lot of knowledge where I could give guys pointers as well, especially on the defense side of things. So I think just consistently working through it and progressing on it in our training sessions throughout the year has kind of cemented it, and I think we've just gotten better as the year goes on.
How do you think the other players in the Lightning organization have taken to Mike being introduced to the team this season?
From what I've heard, they've not a bad thing has been said. They all say they love him and they want more of him. Like just with the ice times available in Brisbane, like if we could train 3 to 5 times during the week to really tap into the knowledge he has, because just with the volatility of when our training sessions are going to be here, guys are hungry for more, and unfortunately, it's hard to give them all the knowledge that they want, especially coming from Mike.
Do you have any hockey superstitions that you execute either before or after a game? Just out of curiosity.
I've always said I'm not superstitious, but that being said, I have habits. And it's not like if I don't do the habit, I'm going to have a bad game. Like I'm not that superstitious, but I just make sure that I stretch enough to feel loose before a game. That's the main thing. And then, okay, I got 2. Now that I'm thinking about it. In warm up, I will always do my stretch in the same spot or the blue line. And then before the drop of the puck of each period, if I'm starting the period, I'll go and tap the boards in each corner of our D zone.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah. What's something that has surprised? Is there like a funny anecdote or something about something that surprised you, your expectations of the league, or maybe just like I know that the culture between Canada and Australia is similar, but like a little difference with the slang terminology. Anything that's kind of happened that sticks out in your mind that you'll take back home afterwards?
Like there are so many similarities between Australia and Canada. I do know a guy back in Manitoba who played in the New Zealand hockey league. This was like, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago. And he was giving me all these whatever pointers of what it's going to be like and stuff. So the hockey was better than I was led to believe by this guy. But I mean, he's coming from New Zealand experience, so I'm not sure how the leagues stack up. But other than that, like slang terms are all relatively the same. I mean, our team has always had this ridiculous argument about whether it's a Parma or a Parmy, because we got Sam from Melbourne, who and honestly I don't even know which phrase is from where anymore, because it happens like on a bi-weekly basis. But yeah, it's just like I think the biggest thing I'll remember is just like those little, I don't know, like team atmosphere, inside jokes, and like all this, like the dumb little things that seem stupid at the time, but they're the things that stick in your head forever.
And if are the burgers better at Hungry Jack's? I know it's Burger King in Canada, but are the burgers better at Hungry Jack's? And what's your go-to menu item?
Sorry, you're breaking up there. Can you repeat that?
Are the burgers really better at Hungry Jack's? And what's your favorite go-to menu item?
Never been to Hungry Jack's. Yeah, so
Burger King. Have you been to Burger King?
I've been to last time I was at Burger King was maybe like 8 or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
The consummate professional.
So I wish I had an answer for you.
No, fine. Any final questions, guys? Well, yeah, thank you so much for joining us. We've really appreciated you taking the time. Good luck at finals. We'll see you down there in Melbourne, and yeah, good luck for the. We'll see you Friday 3 p.m. against the Melbourne Ice. It should be a cracking contest, and we'll keep. We'll wait to hear news from the AIHL about Curtis Mago.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mitch.
Thanks, Mitch. So
that was good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that was pre-recorded, everyone, just in case you're tuning in now. But you are in for a treat because Sean O'Connor has a different outfit change for each.
Oh God!
So we recorded like 4 episodes back to back on Monday, and Sean, his commitment to change outfits was praiseworthy. But we do have some passionate comments here. Palmy from Natasha Denton. Andrew John Egan is very passionate for Palmer. I don't know. What's your take, guys? Yeah.
I would say it's a chicken parma, but then if you're just referring to it as one word, it's palmy. I don't know. That's just what I've always done.
Yeah, I'm probably the same there, Sean.
Because you're either having a palmy or you're having a chicken parma, right? Like it's the same thing, but yeah, you say one or the other.
As long as people know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know, everyone talks about the fact that Australia has no sort of national food, but I swear the parma is our national food.
Meat pie has ended the chat.
We do have some love for our guest, Mitch Dyck, Scotty Fulton, saying Mitch is a machine on the blue line. We do have a request for chicken wire for the finals. Julie Sugden with some love for Mitch, and then once again later on in the interview, so much love, lightning love for you, Mitch. Bats as well is amazing. We love him. Some love for him. Some sympathy for teams traveling to Perth, but that goes the other way, according to Natasha Denton in reply to Lucas Saraceni. And yes, teams from Melbourne and Sydney do get it a little bit easier. I reckon especially Sydney, because you can just bus it to Canberra, Newcastle, Central Coast, right? It's a little bit easier.
One thing that I want to ask all of you, and also ask the viewers out there, what did we think of having last weekend off? What did we do? What were we thinking about? I know Mitch mentioned in the interview about not necessarily going too hard and saving yourself for finals, but also getting some training in there as well. What did we all think? What did we all do?
Well, it's very different compared to what we've done previously. I know last year I think we had a gap between the final weekend and finals as well. But prior to that, it was always games on the weekend before finals. And you saw a lot of teams rest players. So we didn't see that as much this time. I must admit, personally, I didn't even open Slack. I didn't open anything about hockey last weekend. I literally took a weekend off hockey.
I think JJ picked a good week to have pneumonia.
Yeah. No, I was doing a lot of stuff still, because when you've got a toddler and you can't just leave the minding of the toddler to the other parent when you're sick. You've still got to do stuff to avoid getting killed. So that was my strategy last weekend.
But apart from actually having pneumonia and all the bad things that go with it, the worst thing is probably spelling it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
what about you?
Want to spell that guy, Guy Montgomery's Guy spelling bee at the moment. I think they had pneumonia on that the other week. So,
man, I used to love watching the Scripps Howard National Spelling Bee on ESPN, the championships. That was so good. There's a documentary that was made called Spellbound, which is like amazing. Goes into like the parents prepping the kids and like hot housing the kids
awesome.
to get them to what's the language of origin? It's like Latin. Okay, cool. What do those rules mean? Use it in a set. Like, it's so great. These like 10-year-old kids like highly strung out and stressed out in front of live studio audience. It's phenomenal. It's so good, so American. What do you reckon? Should we go into the Wombat?
Oh, let's talk about Curtis Meager for a moment. I don't think we really mentioned what happened to Curtis Meager. The Lightning must be so glad that they had a successful appeal and Meager is actually in the lineup against the Ice.
Did you see the post that they did? And it was just, we'll see you at finals. And it was a photo of Meager just looking over his shoulder. I just thought that was perfect. It was so perfectly done.
Yeah, it was fun to see like all the comments from the people like, oh, this is the AIHL. Like the AIHL, I don't believe the AIHL is even involved in the appeals process. Like that's an independent arbiter, which is why it took so long, because you're working on lawyers' rules. So yeah, it was an independent person that came back and said one game. There it is, one game. And I think for finals, if you're the Melbourne Ice, well, I'm not going to pretend to think for the Melbourne Ice, but you want to beat a team at their best, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. I think I said that in my comment when I actually shared the results of that when the AIHL put out their post, social media post. I said, look, you got to beat the best, right? If you're going to win it all. And this is what they get to do now. I think it's great. It's great for finals.
Yep.
It's great for the Ice. It's great for Brisbane.
We've got Ben Armstrong fact-checking in the chat. Fantastic. Thank you, Ben. Independent group. Yes. Correct. Oh, man. Gap Week. Watch Youngblood, Mystery Alaska, Miracle, and Most Valuable Chimp. Yeah, that's a good strategy, Andrew John Egan. Some Natasha Denton. Watch the Eagles lose. Is it the Eagles, Natasha? Then drown my sorrows at a gin festival. Gin is good.
Unless she's a Fremantle supporter.
Oh yeah, Fremantle Dockers. Yeah,
one or two.
Yeah.
But then again, is she originally from WA?
She
She could be from Melbourne and lives in WA now. There's a lot of people who do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did like that Anthony said up before regarding the Palmy. He said people
Freo.
up in the north of the UK say Palmo.
Well, in Parks and Recreation, which I'm a big fan of, the guy goes says Chicky Chicky Parm Parm. That's his name for. So why don't we choose like a neutral terminology and just stick with that one? Yeah.
And if you're from Portland, Oregon, which is where I discovered hockey from, you'd actually like Portlandia. You'd actually want to go out and meet the chicken first.
Oh yeah, that was a good series. It was a bit weird sometimes, but yeah, it was good. But yes, Mitch Dyck, Brisbane Lightning. I think they're going to be like highly competitive at finals, and like they said, it's single game. Tristan Metcalf did the stats in the last 10 games. Curtis Meager has the highest save percentage of any goaltender at finals, so that bodes well for Brisbane.
Yeah, he's been in form at the right end of the season.
And there's also been a big change in the Brisbane game, and I think we all mentioned it during the interview. There's a big change. Last year was, as they said, it was either a 9-6 loss or a 9-6 win, something like that. But this year, they've really toughened up. They can play these 1-0 games now, and that sort of thing. They can compete hard, and it's not all whack 'em, bash 'em, sock 'em, punch them, all that sort of stuff. It's a very different lineup for the Lightning this year compared to last year.
Yeah, I felt like last year it was either we're going to try and trample on top of you or we're going to fight you to the death. While this year it's more about playing hockey. Getting wins.
All right. So we have we have to thank Mitch Dyck for appearing with us. Now we do have are we ready to move on to Matt Wombat Harvey, just aware of the time?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's play this. And our faces are still going to be on the screens until I take them off, so just bear with me. So we are here with Harvey from the Canberra Brave, looking to hoist his second Goodall Cup as well in his career, and having announced earlier this season that this will be his last season. First of all, Matt, welcome. But also having a look at, as we're recording now, your Spicy Dangles jerseys that were worn on the last Brave home game of the season. They look to be doing some good numbers at the moment. Tell us about your Spicy Dangles brand.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So I started that, I think, about 10 years ago as well. So kind of everything comes in 10-year stints with me. But yeah, I was just having a bit of spare time when I was doing school, and I was living in Vancouver, and I was into digital drawing. And I was like, maybe I could take this digital drawing into a bit of a different hobby and create a business out of it. So that's how, long story short, it was started. And I guess, just taking all those different ideas and illustrations, I became a little bit more passionate about it. And to me, it's just a creative outlet. And I guess in the back burner, it helps. The whole idea was just to, I guess, combine artistic quality and have a cool brand that represented how I feel about hockey at the end of the day. Yeah.
That's cool.
So the jerseys, they came out really well. I was really happy with how they showed up on the ice. All the guys were pretty happy to wear them. And yeah, definitely. If anyone's interested, head to the Canberra Brave Instagram page and you could bid on one.
Awesome. Well, I did actually have a question related to Spicy Dangles. Actually came from Grant Reinberger. He said many people know your brand, Spicy Dangles, but they often don't know what Spicy Dangles actually means. Can you enlighten us to the meaning behind it and why you chose the name?
Yeah, definitely. I think especially like in Canada, I feel like everyone would get and grasp exactly what it is. And so I don't have that issue there when I'm selling this stuff. But here I have colleagues ask me all kinds of weird stuff and like, dingle, just saying they have no idea what it is. And I'm like, spicy, like after a curry? I'm like, no. So Spicy Dangles. And the art of a dangle is just where you maneuver the puck through a defender, obviously using your stick, or maneuvering the puck in a way to score on a goaltender. Spicy is just where it's not just your average dangle, it's up there in terms of the caliber and charts.
So saying that, Matt,
I just
are there any players in particular, either that you've played with or against, who has the spiciest dangle?
Well, currently, King Lossie's up there for sure. Ratcliffe, I would say he's a spicy rat. Who else? Maybe Trevor Gerling. I can't say too much about the other teams.
Man, that toe drag.
There's definitely some players in the past for sure. Who was the guy who scored in overtime? I was watching that one. That was a pretty nice goal recently. Bazzi or someone from Central Coast.
On the Central Coast, yeah. He came in from the French leagues. He's a very good player.
Yeah.
Looking a little bit, sort of shifting across to the hockey from your brand there, Wombat. You came out here 10 years ago, or out here to Australia 10 years ago with your brother Jeff. Do you want to talk a little bit about how that happened? Because you came a slightly different pathway to everybody else.
Yeah,
using your Kiwi citizenship.
Correct. Yeah. So I knew about the league from an old friend who actually passed away, but he used to play for the Blue Tongues. So his name is Valdemir Dashko. So he played for them and he was from Okotoks. And then I had a sister at the time who lived in Australia. So I knew a little bit about the league. And I remember I was playing in Canada in a senior league, and I was recently injured in that senior league, and I was kind of contemplating my future, and I was like, I would still like to play hockey in one way or another. So I reached out to some different teams, and it was close to the start of the season, so most of the teams had signed, but the Brave had just, I think they were coming to fruition. And so I had an online interview with Matty Luoma at the time, and yeah, next thing I knew it, I had flights booked and I was coming, and 10 years later, yeah, no looking back. And yeah, obviously it helped to have the New Zealand citizenship. Don't think I would have been able to play as an import then with the comparison to other players. So that obviously helped me out a lot. And then my brother, he actually came a little bit later. So he was in Canada. And I just asked him if he wanted to come down and play. And yeah, he was pretty keen to give it a go.
You've lifted the Goodall Cup once before. I was in Canberra at the time in 2018. Went to bleachers afterwards for the celebrations, etc. But talk about what that Goodall Cup win took. What it takes to win a Goodall Cup, because the Brave were right there for a few years previously, right? And what does it take to win the Goodall Cup?
Oh, that's a tricky one.
And Matt was captain at the time too.
Yeah. I think we had everything going for us that year in terms of chemistry on the team, good culture. So I would say, I definitely advocate for those things. I think in finals, anything can happen where the game gets towed one way or another. And you see it where, even if a team has a perfect record all year, they might get into a tricky situation where they get down a couple goals or, just even a bad penalty, and you'll see the momentum start to shift. So I think that's where you come back to your team and you figure out what to do with each other and you stay positive and you work from there. And I think it's not just what you say verbally, but it's what's felt too. You need to have that good vibration with everyone and that level of effort that, we either get up and we keep going and we don't look back and we don't let off, or if you get down, you're doing whatever you can do to get back in the game. And as soon as that energy goes anywhere else, directed at coaches, players, it's felt. And I think that I've been on the other side of that in certain years where having a team with like unreal record and just being down and it just going the complete other way. And it's just, that's not a good feeling and something to learn from for sure.
So saying that, Matt, how hungry are you for tasting championship success again this year? Because I know you missed 2022.
Yeah, that was, it happened. I wasn't here, so I can't say too much about that one. I had commitments in Canada that I had to finish up. But yeah, definitely, that's why I'm still here. I'm an old guy. The body aches. I've taken enough ibuprofen to not be good in terms of like my body and stuff. I've had to try different things this year because of my age and all those ailments that happen when you're an older guy on the brink of retirement. So for me, it's super important. That's why I'm still here. I want to have another kick at that. And I think, the season's a lot of fun and enjoyment, but at the end of the day, it's this weekend that it's just so different in terms of the crowd and the feeling and the excitement around it all. And I think, in terms of when you think about hockey and careers in sports, you often go to those like really big memories when you're thinking back to the game. So that's what I'm playing for, just that memory. And it's never the same in terms of each team that you play for. It's a group of different guys. And so, yeah, I'm really keen to give it everything and leave it all on the ice.
Awesome.
Well, first up, you've got as things currently stand, facing the Perth Thunder in the late game on Friday, and then there's if you do, the winner of that game, then gets I don't know, they're out of the rink at 10 o'clock maybe at the earliest, and they're back at the rink for a puck drop 16 hours later. What kind of challenge is that for a team to be able to kind of overcome those kind of two quick back-to-back games within less than 24 hours?
So with these things, I think the more you look into it and buy into how that's going to disadvantage yourself, once again, the more energy you put into that. So I think for us as a squad, it is what it is. That's out of our control. We'll see it as an advantage and look at it that way, where we're going to be fresh. We're going to have just played. I think they're going to come into, provided we do everything we need to Friday, that next team's going to be cold. So we're just taking it as an advantage to us. And we're not even going to think about how, once again, the more you buy into that narrative, the more your mind is likely to give you excuses for that stuff. So
and it's the same with the fans as well, right? Like the Canberra fans are going to be G'd up for that second game. They've already warmed up the day before if they make it there. So, it does have that advantage as well.
Yeah. And even though it's early the next day where, you're still plugged in, you're still right with it. You've just had that big game. I think you can carry a bunch of that momentum into it. I think in the past it's been interesting because to me, I feel like the teams that have had an advantage are the teams that played the weekend before because they're right in the thick of it. They're in playoff hockey and boom, the next game happens. And technically, these last couple games, depending on who you're playing, it's just not the same. There's been some blowouts, lots of guys missing. They don't have that tenacity that playoffs are going to have. So, yeah, I think it can be used as an advantage to have the extra reps in and be ready to go.
Yeah, I think the Ice Dogs versus Rhinos game on the weekend, I think it was 9-5, was a classic example of a dead rubber game not meaning much and everyone just decided to go out and try and score more goals than the other team.
Yeah, bad habits can form quick. That's why we think, we didn't have the greatest game on Saturday against Adelaide, but we turned it around and we're we have to really get into finals mode, be doing the right things, taking off all the right boxes in terms of effort and our mental preparedness. So that's what we kind of brought on the Sunday there.
Yeah, it was unusual for the Brave though as well to have not only our home games as the final games of the regular season, but also having to play, I guess, the top line, everybody playing for something at the end. Like we've had dead rubbers before finals, and this time was a bit different.
I think Tristan Metcalf, you maybe you take this one, Tristan, about Canberra's form heading into.
Yeah. So what about over the last couple of months, the Brave have been sort of the form team of the competition. Obviously, coming off a pretty slow start to the year with a lot of guys unavailable for different things. You reckon that holds you in pretty good stead coming into the weekend?
I think so. I think, at the same time, depending on your record, and even if we had a record similar to other years where we've been top of the ladder, I don't think it matters. I think, definitely your recent games matter in terms of how much momentum and how you're feeling as a team and you're doing things right. But at the end of the day, it's anyone's game to take, especially this year. I just think the teams are all so close. To me, it'll be the closest finals I think that we'll ever see. Maybe not obviously in the future, but compared to the past, I just feel like everyone's super tight in terms of what could happen out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
you probably have to
does
look
give us a
back
bit of
to
a boost, right? In terms of momentum and feeling good. I feel like we're confident and we know that we can beat any team on any given day. So I think that's all that kind of means to us is and we're there at the end of the day.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it's been a very close season compared to previously.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, incredibly at both ends of the ladder. So this year haven't seen teams that have got no wins for the year. We haven't seen one or two teams that are right out blowing teams away at the top. So it's made a really good year of hockey.
Mm.
On the weekend as well, Wombat, is there anyone you don't want to room with on an away weekend?
Oh, no, not really. I don't know. Who's a snorer? It would mainly be that, but I think everyone's pretty chill on our team. I get along with all the guys, so yeah, happy.
Have you got any wild stories from finals weekends past?
Wild stories. I think just TK, man. That guy, he doesn't sleep when he's in finals mode. There's just times when it's been like laid it, and he's just holding like he's just a very proud guy. He's got his shirt off, pounding his chest, and just in the moment still talking about the glory. That's one guy that comes to mind in terms of he loves a good celebration, and he's a player who leaves it all out there too. And he's a guy who I look to in finals just to find another gear.
And maybe just a couple quick questions, Sean, if you want to go first.
Sure. Okay, so one thing, I can't believe that you haven't represented Australia at Worlds yet. Have you ever wanted to represent Australia, or is that something that you'd still consider for Melbourne next year?
Well, I don't have the right citizenship for that path, so I've tried to represent New Zealand, but you have to play there, I think, 2 consecutive years in the last 10, and so there's just different rules and stuff. And
have you been tempted to go play in New Zealand?
Well, not really. I think the AIHL is a lot better league, and I'm happy here with everything. Obviously, my family's here now, so if you were to ask me that 10 years ago, I think it would have been more of a goal for me, where now, at this stage, I'm pretty content with playing beer league after this.
Okay, and another question that's come in from Courtney this time. How have you found the growth in the AI in the last 10 years since you've been here?
I think exceptional. I think we do a really good job, where the biggest thing I notice is I think we've had like different levels of imports that come in, and all that's really helped is to help grow the game. But in terms of local development, I think we've seen such a good emergence of really strong local players on all the different teams. And even if you talk about teams rebuilding and stuff, I think Adelaide's done a really excellent job. Their young players are hard to play against. They're quick. They're tenacious. They obviously lost a lot of veterans, and so they had to rebuild. So I think, in a few years' time, as you do with the rebuild, I think there'll be a really strong team. And then you look at different guys I think every team has a lot of quality young players that are up and coming, and our league has done a great job to get those guys ready. And the only issue is, I think it is a really big jump from the leagues that they emerge from. So on that, I think you have to, the only issue is for some teams, the jump is so big, it's hard to get those reps in the AHL unless you're a player that's going to be like fit for the roster and ready to go and compete. So that's where I think it is advantageous for those younger players if they get the chance to go away to another country. And then that's where we see those players doing really well. When they go away to North America or somewhere in Europe and they have that extra experience, then it's not coming straight from like the Australian junior leagues into the AHL, it's hard to do. So
look at Mackenzie Bolger is a great example of this.
Yeah.
Because he started in the AI last year and he looked very raw, and then he went away overseas to North America, has come back this year and has been
just polish everything off, right, in terms of your skills and your foundation. And like, I think Mitch Henning, he's a guy who came up and he did have 1 year away, but he was one of kind of the exceptions to that, where he put in a lot of work. And this was a guy who was playing hockey all year round, playing inline as well. So in a way, I think it's just that experience to get to that next level and then be a player who can fit in with your current lineup, given the experience of all the other players and imports and everything else like that.
Yeah, nice. All right, Matt, lastly, I've got one more question here. Now that you're going to be stepping back away from the ice, are we going to see a new book from you in the future? Or what are your plans post your playing career?
Yeah, maybe a new book in the future. I got 2 kids now, so a great family to go to home. And so, maybe working on something like that. It might be a kid's book or something. My son loves hockey and he loves reading hockey books. So I got some ideas there that maybe I'll workshop. Yeah, with the family there. Other than that, might get into some mountain biking, some good spots in Canberra to get into that. So, and then I'll definitely still play hockey, but it'll be in a capacity where I'll be probably doing some coaching with the younger kids. I already do a bit of that, and just playing in the senior league there.
Awesome.
Senior B, yeah.
Any
Sorry, I lost you there for a second.
Yeah, Gordon, we lost you.
any final question from you, Tristan? Sorry, mate.
I think Wombat sort of covered it here. I think I might add a quick sort of finals weekend story that I can add about Wombat on the back of that. And don't worry, mate, it's all very PC. But I think must have been 2015. I'd flown across from here. I was coming back on the Monday at the airport, and I hear this announcement come across the speaker for I think it was Kyle Mariani, Jordan Peddle, and Matt Harvey to come to the gate because the plane's about to leave. So I assume you boys have been having a pretty big weekend at that point.
Who knows? I don't even know if we made that.
I don't think we'd seen Peddle for like 2 days by that point.
Yeah. I got no clue. We could have been in a different country or something. Who knows?
I still remember back in the day, I was at Mawson Shops walking by, and I was wearing this cap, and then I hear this person yell out, "Nice cap!" And I couldn't really see who it was, and I just sort of dismissed it. And then later I went, I think that might have been Matt Harvey.
Yeah, if I see anyone wearing the merch, I always give them a shout out, say hello, compliment them, definitely.
So final one. If you finish the sentence, the Canberra Brave winning the 2024 Good Old Cup would be
absolutely amazing. Yeah. Bring it back to where it belongs this year. I'll say that much. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for taking time on your lunch break as well to fit us in, and good luck at finals. It should be a great event in coming up next week. So good luck and safe travels, and we'll see you there.
You betcha. Thanks for having me on. It's been great to see familiar faces and catch up with you guys, and just appreciate what you guys are doing to grow the game. Yeah, it's been awesome. Obviously, that's another huge step too, right? We talk about the player development, but to have avenues like these where it grows interest and gains fan base, it's awesome to have. So appreciate that from my side.
Thanks,
Great.
Matt.
Thank you. Awesome.
But yeah, take care.
That was a great interview. I didn't get to make that one, but I've got to just jump straight to something you said about Canberra just finding the positive in their situation. And everyone knows that potentially playing 3 games is so tough. And I love the mentality of how it's an advantage to them, and the idea that they'll be warmer than whoever they've got to play against, and which I think their matchup plays the Bears, right?
Correct.
So I love that positive mentality going into that game, because it could so easily be the other way.
I wonder if the attitude has changed since 2019. Sean, you'll especially remember 2019, where everyone thought that basically CBR, as they were then, just basically had to turn up in Newcastle and win the thing, and then they weren't even there on grand final day. Sorry, buddy. But for me, in the couple of years after that and after COVID, they seemed to hang on to that as an outsider from the Brave. They seem to hang on to that. But if taking Matt on face value here, when he said, well, we can only control what we can control, we can only do what we can do, we can only end up on the ladder where we ended up, sure, they probably would have liked to have finished first, but the North Stars did. And so where the North Stars and the Bears have probably thought, oh, well, we will really appreciate the day off. Canberra don't have that. And as you said, Courtney, they've embraced that, and they've just said, okay, this is the mission. We know we can do it. We know we have to turn up on Friday. We know we have to turn up on Saturday if we get there, then Sunday if we get there. So rather than whinge and complain about it, they're just trying to get the job done.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I think they learned a lot of lessons from 2019. Although saying that, as much as it sucks that the Brave didn't win in 2019 after basically winning almost every single game in regular season, it was good for the league to have someone different win. Like, because no team from Sydney had won for ages. Like 2013, I think the Ice Dogs were the last Sydney team to win before then. And they came from like finishing fourth, like the lowest team that final series. Like, it was a bit of a fairy tale.
Yeah, I remember talking to Ryan Annesley about that, and he said that because they were the only team to beat them during the regular season. So even though they finished fourth, they knew that they had that in their back pocket, where it was like, okay, if we face Canberra in that first game, we do have, you know, some confidence to take away, and they came back, fought back, and ended up winning. So yeah, I think, you know, it was interesting what Matt said too about he feels the closest finals ever, like between teams, the quality of teams. And I think that's a really interesting point from a player.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's so hard to tell the difference. Like, to pick teams to win, like, it's really hard this year.
I agree. The other thing I like that Matt said is how he's going into coaching. I think the kids of Canberra are very, very lucky to have someone like him coming through and getting his time to learn from him.
Yes, and I'm sure Senior B will also just love the fact that he's coming to play hockey there.
Good luck to them.
All right, should we hit Liam Manwarring?
Yeah, let's do it.
Not figuratively, GG. Newcastle need him on the weekend.
Well, purely figuratively, not literally. I'm not going to hit Liam Manwarring. Dude, he looks like he could definitely dispatch me pretty quickly. But this is, I'll find the file, Liam Manwarring. All right, we are live now with Liam Manwarring, of course, Tristan Metcalf, Sean O'Connor, and Courtney Kinnison joining myself, Gordon Goodenough. First of all, Liam, thanks heaps for taking time out of your schedule before finals week to have a chat with us about finals.
Nah, no worries. Always a pleasure. I like doing things like this just for people around the country involved in this sport, and obviously to join you guys and go over finals and go over the season. So.
And it's been a good one for Newcastle from missing out at finals weekend last season to now topping the Rurak Conference, getting that handy Friday bye, going straight into the Saturday. How much does that mean to you as captain?
Yeah, look, at the start of the season, we set out a few goals in-house as a club, and to finish first, I'm super proud to lead the North Stars this year. You know, I think we've had a great year, accomplished a lot. We've been through so much adversity. We started the year off really strong, and we had a full team sort of from the get-go with we subbed 2 imports out, obviously, between Wagner and Desautels for Matthews and Yulee, and they slotted in very nicely, and it's been a smooth transition for them. But, yeah, super proud of the club. I think it's well-deserved that we finished first, and a lot of bumps throughout, but we always overcame them and grew as a team and as a club. So I think being first and finishing first is, you know, such an advantage going into that weekend. 2 years ago, we had to play 3 in 3 days, and it's not an easy task. That was a tough weekend for us, but look, anything can happen in Melbourne on a finals weekend. I think we all know that.
Is there any advice you can give to any of these teams playing on Friday about the possibility of 3 games in 3 days?
Make sure your physio's ready.
It's all to get on the beers.
Well, you could do that too to benefit us. But no, look, it's tough, but I guess when you get down there and you get in that sort of mindset, the playoff mindset, anything's achievable for any of the clubs, and I think it's going to be a great final series, and they've promoted it well. And
I think we've just lost your audio there temporarily, Liam. Hopefully
Did you
you're back.
lose me?
Yeah, you're back now though.
Okay, sorry. I was just getting a phone call. That was why. Where were we up to?
It cut out just as you were saying that they're like the final series and the promoting of the final series.
Yeah, I think they've done that very well this year, and it's going to be, super tight. Anyone can win it at the end of the day. You've seen the last couple of years and the teams that have lifted the Goodle Cup. So super excited to be a part of it.
I just want to jump into you were just talking about the adversity North Stars have had, which for anyone that hasn't really watched Newcastle play has been injuries that we've had and just a bit of a rough spot in the middle of the season. You and I, Liam, have had a chance to talk about our young guys, and I'd love for you to elaborate on that, just how well they stepped into the lineup. They got a lot more minutes than they might have had we not lost a few key players, and just how you think that brings some depth to Newcastle in the finals, having them like skilled up because of what this season's look like.
Look, yeah, it's hats off to all our young guys. We've had, multiple guys step up this year into a role that they might not have been thinking they were going to play heading into the year with the roster that we had. And I think that, as much as adversity that we went through and the downs and the ups too, I think, it benefits us as a club that they played some more senior minutes and some more senior roles and got that experience. And going down to Melbourne, especially because of the way the game is paced in playoffs, you need all 3 or 4 lines rolling, and those young guys can now play against anyone in the league, and that's props to our coaching staff too. They've sort of, driven a role into each of our young guys that they've bought into, and yeah, it's a massive credit to them. I was there one day, not too long ago actually, and it's so good to see a new generation of guys coming through within the North Stars, and I think it's a huge benefit for us that they've picked up so many more minutes this year than they probably weren't expecting.
Yeah, touching on staying on sort of Australian youngsters, as you say, we are getting a new generation coming through, and we're actually seeing quite a few of the young guys now also playing some minutes overseas and then coming back to the AI. I think of players like Bolger, Lindell, Cal Costa, etc. Now, you spent some time over in Sweden with Tranås earlier in your career. How did that shape your hockey and improve you come back to the AI?
Yeah, look, that was my last year of junior. I spent over there in Tranås, and then obviously COVID hit, so things changed. But I also spent some time at a hockey academy in Canada, my 15, 16-year-old year. And I think that, playing overseas and getting away from this country and then playing hockey all year round just – mentally makes you a better player, but also physically, right? You skate every day over there on the ice, and you're around pros all the time. And yeah, it's awesome to see so many young people out of this country these days, or young athletes, young hockey players these days, chasing the dream and doing their thing. And it was the best thing that I ever did for my career as a player. But also, it just brings some character out in you, and the experiences that you have through ice hockey, traveling around the world is awesome, and you wouldn't give it up for anything, right? So good to see that it's becoming more popular, because back when I did it, there was only a handful of us that were doing it. So it seems like there's someone new from this country going over every year, which is absolutely awesome to see, and it's so good for the exposure of the sport in this country.
On the back of that, we're coming up to, I think next year would be your 10 years in the AIHL. I'd love your thoughts on just the growth you've seen. So not only have we got Lightning and Rhinos in their second year this year, but I feel like a lot of the rinks have had renovations and changes and growth. The crowds are getting bigger at all of the home games. Like, just a few thoughts on the development of the league here.
Look, it's been insane, especially sort of the last 5 years. Like, when I first come into the league, I think, they were pushing the fan bases to get bigger each year and sponsors and stuff like that. But I remember being around the league in 2005 when I was a little kid, and, how much this league has grown has been unbelievable for the sport in this country. And, every time I take someone to a game or a group of people to the game, and they're shocked about, why they haven't heard about this and why they haven't seen this. But it's pretty cool now. I was just walking down the street actually last week through Newcastle, and a few of my buddies that I hadn't seen in quite some time, mentioned, we've been to the hockey. And, there's so many people now that you walk around just in Newcastle or Canberra or wherever you're from as a player, you walk around and they recognize you, or they want to have a conversation about ice hockey, which was a sport that no one really ever knew about here. And I think that's props to all the clubs and sponsors. But even, with this Hockey Hype Australia, like, it's so good what you guys have done for us this year as players. And I think as fans and sponsors, everyone's, been able to stay up to date with what's going on around the league and not just focusing on their team that they follow. So you guys have done a great job. It's been awesome for us to keep up to date, even though sometimes we might not want to. But look, it's the sport in this country has evolved so much in the last 5 years. And even Courtney sent me a photo the other day of our fan base at the year. We get a photo with all the fans on the ice. And I think that the photo 7 years ago to now has tripled. So yeah, no, it's awesome to see. And it's something that I want to be a part of for quite a long time, is to push the sport to get bigger and get involved in making the hockey community a larger one. So great to see.
Yeah, I must admit, I've always thought Newcastle's been quite lucky in the fact that you've got a lot of local media support as well for the team promoting it. Like, it surprises me. I've still got cousins in Newcastle who have never been to the hockey, and they're like, "Oh, you got to come up and go to the hockey." I'm like, "You're already there. You could just go down any weekend and go watch the hockey. You don't need me to come up to show you hockey." But,
tell them to send me or Courtney a message, and we'll help them out.
Yeah, absolutely.
But just on that a little bit, and the Newcastle fan base from the outside, I don't know if there is a more organized fan base in the entire league, and which is phenomenal. Like, it absolutely you skews the 3 stars voting, but I'm all for it. As fans get organized, but it also does cool stuff where, like, the Newcastle North Stars team was like voted the best team in Newcastle on the radio. Like, tell us a little bit about the uniqueness of the fan base and what it's like to kind of be a part of that and a focus of that fan base.
Yeah, look, that's very well said. They are, so well organized. There's a few fans that sit up the top there that do such a great job, and obviously it gives us a benefit on the ice. But I think a lot of our players in the last couple of years have really bought into it as well, and learned to sort of give back to the fans and support the fans. And we're always talking to the fans after the games. And when they announced that we were the best sporting team, or got voted the best sporting team on the radio, I got all these messages, and it's like the Newcastle Knights are really well followed here. Like, they have a massive fan base. They're sponsored by some very large companies, but for us to get that was like a massive, massive achievement. And to be honest, I think it comes down to our fan base, right? Because they make the public side of it so easy, because they're always on social media about it, and they're always raving about it and telling people about it. And we just have so many fans in the rink now that are just so passionate about it. And as a player, it makes you, not want to play anywhere else, because it's just so good to walk in there and play in front of that crowd. And it's just such an advantage for us. And I can't thank them enough. It's awesome.
I think it's really telling. Like, last season, Newcastle didn't make that second weekend of finals in Melbourne, and yet still so many Newcastle fans made the trip down, and because they wanted to go see the hockey, and it didn't matter that their team in the end wasn't there. They love to be part of this hockey community, and they really are a big part.
Yeah, that's the thing too, right? I had one of our super fans speaking to me about the NHL a couple of weeks ago, and he asked me a question. I was like, mate, you I don't know, you tell me. So they're just so into the sport, and that's why they're so driven and passionate, I guess, for the North Stars, but also around the league, right? Like that's an awesome comment, and it makes me proud to be from Newcastle and be a part of it. They spend so much of their time within ice hockey and within the community, as well as following the North Stars, which is awesome.
And just something I'm privy to, having been in the rink, Liam, as far as the fans and the crowd on game day, share just how it feels as a player on the bench and on the ice when those chants start and how loud it gets in that room.
Yeah, look, especially in the last definitely the last 2 seasons, it's gone crazy in Newcastle, as I said previously, and so loud. I think the rink sort of helps in that aspect too, because the roof's not too high and the noise just echoes through. And yeah, sometimes we struggle to hear the coaches on the bench. They've been that loud this year, and yeah, it's been an awesome year for us, an awesome year for the fans. And I said this at our presentation night last week. Like, I'm not sure how they can get much better. Now, I'm interested to see what they can bring to us next year.
Challenges set, North Stars fans.
Liam, you talk about the environment and everything there in Newcastle, and for a real strength in North Stars over the years has been the ability to attract imports and keep them, and keep having guys coming back year after year. And at the moment, you got Francis Drolet and Berno that have been back multiple years now. How much does that sort of improve the locker room and everything to know that you've got these guys coming back year on year? You know what they're like, you know how they play, and you guys can just work well together.
Yeah, look, it's been massive for us. They both, want to stay around and they want to sort of set up the rest of their lives here, which is awesome for us in the future. But look, Francis, especially this year, he's had, he had a season off, going and playing pro in our off season here, and I think it's made him a better player. He's been, our most valuable player for sure, and he's obviously on the leadership group. Being an assistant captain, he's an absolute leader and a guy that any team in this league would want in the change room, and it helps us so much with his performance, but also his leadership, and it's just such a personal guy. And it's the same with Berno. They're two great guys, and their production rate is so high, and I think because of that and because they want to hang around, it also puts a little bit of fire in our stomachs too to, appreciate what we have here, and definitely a massive benefit for us on the personal side of things within our locker room.
Nice.
What will it take, Liam, you've lifted the cup before in your rookie season, I believe. What will it take to be lifting that cup on Sunday? What's the message? Kind of the message that the team that the team has.
Oh, look, that can come down to many things, and anything can happen on the Melbourne weekend. But look, I think we've got the team to do it 100% this year. It's been, like I said, up and down and adversity, and then back the other way, and we've come out of it always on top. And we finished number one in our conference for a reason. And I think that the thing that it will take for the team to lift the cup this weekend is just composure. You can get down there and get so caught up in the hype and sort of be strung too highly, but whoever stays composed this weekend, and we stay composed and we work hard and focus on, the things that we've really knuckled down on over the last 3.5 months, I think that, we're going to come out very successful. But I'd say my number one point would purely be composure.
Oh, so you talked there about the hype of the weekend and everything, Liam. I think with this final structure, it's really interesting for yourself and the Bears that have the Friday off. So how are you guys going to tackle that? Will you be at the rink watching the games, or trying to get away from it and chill a little bit?
Yeah, look, I've given the boys, we had a chat about that, and that's sort of an optional thing, right? We travel as a team, and we're going to be together all day Saturday as a team. So as an individual down there, it's about getting yourself ready to come together as a team to bring your best individually. But we've sort of left that open. I think I might go and watch maybe one of the games, but it's always good to just focus on what your game looks like on Saturday, especially when we don't know who our opponent is yet, right? So it's all about individually getting ready for whoever you're going to play, and then coming together on Saturday with the opponents and what they're going to do in mind as well.
Liam, do you have a preference of who you'll verse, the Ice or the Lightning?
I'm not sure. I really don't know, right? They've both got plenty of guys, and they're both really good teams and really successful, and they have been this year. And I think obviously the Melbourne Ice are going to have that home advantage, and they're going to have a full barn, I'm sure. But I don't really have a preference right now, because anything can happen on that weekend. It's 60 minutes that hopefully leads into 120, and you have to focus on the first 60.
Something I heard someone say is, the options for us are going to be Melbourne Ice or Brisbane Lightning. And and North Stars have won both, like against both of those teams. And on the flip side, I think the Bears face a challenge with Perth Thunder or Canberra Braves. So, look, as you say, anything can happen, and it's either way, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, 100% for sure. Are all you guys going down there, or?
Gordon and I definitely are.
Yeah.
I probably will not be.
Oh, okay.
The trip from here is a bit long for me, so I'm going to miss it this year.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Eh? No, look, it's the most exciting weekend of the year. Obviously, the week leading into it as well is, what you play hockey for. Really, it's hard to make the playoffs in this league now. The league's gotten so much better, and to be a part of that, you have to sort of honour that and respect your opponent and take it all in this week. And obviously, this weekend, our goal that we're laser focused on is lifting the Goodall Cup and bringing it back to Newcastle. So,
yeah. One of the good things about the actual draw is that we could end up with a North Stars Brave final, which was the last time the North Stars lifted the cup. That was the final as well. So, history could
And the
repeat
last time the
itself.
Brave lifted the cup as well. So.
Yeah.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, I was there for both of them. Yeah. Yeah, look, it's always been a bit of a rivalry, I think, in this league now, and they got a great squad, always do. So do we. So, yeah, look, like I said, it's one of those things that you look back on in 2019 with the Bears when they won it, and even last year with the Mustangs that they won it. It's hard to go into the weekend as the top seed. However, I think that we have been counted as an underdog, to be honest, in the second half of this year, and I like being the number one seed this year for the pure fact that I think a lot of people around the league have maybe counted us out with their underdog mentality, but that underdog mentality has won so many cups in the past 10 years in this league, so it's a good spot to be in.
Yeah, I don't think anyone expected the Bears to win in 2019, given that they came fourth in the regular league. You just...
Exactly.
Yeah. But they just pulled it out, and good on them. So, yeah, it'll be fun to watch.
Sure.
So one question I'm asking everyone, just to finish the sentence, the Newcastle North Stars winning the Goodall Cup would be?
The Newcastle North Stars winning the Goodall Cup would be astounding. I'm going to go with astounding.
That's very comparable to other answers that we've got so far. So,
nice.
You're not alone. You're not alone.
Unreal. That's awesome. Nah, it's going to be very astounding, especially for myself. I haven't lifted one as a captain yet, and I'm super excited for the weekend.
Yeah,
as
how
a
different do you
grizzled
reckon
veteran of 25 years old, grizzled veteran.
That's what I come into the league so early, with my age, obviously, and sometimes it feels like that. And I look around, I'm like, how are these guys still playing in their 40? Like, it's crazy. That's a massive props to them. They obviously look after their body, which is awesome, and that's the goal. Yeah,
I was going to say, you obviously won the cup in 2016 and whatnot, where you're very young. How different do you reckon it is now going into the finals weekend compared to when you're that young going into it?
Yeah, well, look, I just come into the league, right? And it also, and that was awesome. I'll never forget that experience, but it might have, been a bit of reverse psychology for me. And I didn't realize how hard it was to win the cup again. And, that year was awesome. But, then the years went on, and it's been, 9 years since. And it's so hard to win a championship in this league now. And I think I might have been a little bit complacent in how hard it actually was. But now that I've sort of tasted the full grit of it, it's just made me super, super focused on the end goal in lifting the Goodall Cup. And, the last month in my life has been all focus on and all eyes on the prize. And I wouldn't like to do anything else right now but win a championship in this league. And it's obviously so hard to do. And, like I said, I might have been a little bit complacent because I thought it was easy as a 16-year-old.
Final questions, guys. We might have one more minute. Well, thanks for joining us. We really wish you all the best at finals weekend. We're looking forward to it. Do you have a favorite Hungry Jack's burger? And are they better at Hungry Jack's, Liam?
They are better at Hungry Jacks. I'm going to go with the Hunger Tamer box.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
done deal.
Nice.
No,
Yeah,
I'd like to just say thanks for having me on, guys. You guys, like I said, have done such a good thing for this sport this year in growing the game and letting everyone follow along. And yeah, I love reading your articles, and it's been awesome to share this with you guys, and hopefully more for the future.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks heaps, Liam. Appreciate it, and yeah, we'll see you. We'll see you down there at finals.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Cheers, mate. Liam's such a good egg, isn't he? He's
He really is.
I mean, all three guys, we got pretty lucky. All three guys were such great guys to interview. But yeah, he said he's a passionate guy for 25-year-old captain. You can see why he's a leader in that room.
100%.
Yeah, he's been great this year, and I've been lucky, obviously, because I interview him most weeks for not just Hockey Hype, but for the North Stars website. And having someone that's so articulate is very helpful to actually get the answers. And as you can see in that conversation, it's just so easy to talk to him. So we're certainly lucky.
And it's crazy, right? Because he started so early, he is so experienced now, and he's only 25 years old.
Yeah.
So he could be one of these people. He could be one of these people playing at 40 like Thomas Lander.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still getting better at 40, right, Eric?
He doesn't age. Tommy Lander just doesn't age.
Needs to drink the water from Kladno Chechia like Blanda and Yago. Play into their 50s. We do have some love that we didn't get to last break. My apologies, but some love from Chris Langille about the stats that Tristan keeps for play-by-play. Would be great to catch up. Yep, will be great to catch up with you if you're around. Paul Finesse waiting for a gecko to climb the wall behind Tristan. So Mawson Shops. I used to live near the Mawson Shops too. Two Toes Continental.
Yeah,
used to do great coffee, cheap coffee. You can get
and the
flat
Italian International Bakery there too. It's great.
So good. I believe in the brave. Thanks, Wombat. Natasha Denton, beautiful comment here. Great closing comments by Matt, and I agree. Thanks, HHA, for spreading the word in the game. It certainly helped me out as a new follower. Welcome along. Thanks for joining the ride with us, Natasha. And another one, watch Shorzy as an option for hockey. And Phil Taylor, the GOAT of AIHL photography. Great interviews all. I
have another suggestion, GG, for hockey content. If anyone ever gets a chance, Summit 72, which is about the Game Super Summit series in 1972.
Yeah.
Fantastic doco series.
Henderson for Canada. It's legendary. But yeah, Newcastle, they have earned that bye on the Friday. And when you've got guys like Charlie Smart and Mitsuaki and Yue in net, you can take games off anyone, can't you, Courtney?
Absolutely. Between the two of them, it's I think that goes across to a lot of the teams that are in finals. The goalies have really stepped it up this year, and I'm always going to be a big fan of Charlie. So looking forward to seeing what the two of them can do for us on the weekend.
Yeah, who do you reckon's going to start, Courtney?
No idea. They're both neck and neck as far as stats go on paper. We'll find out. You'll find out when I find out.
It's always one of those things when you got a great tandem during the regular season. It comes to finals. Who's going to start that first game, right?
Yeah.
I've obviously spent a lot more time around Charlie in the last 10 years that I've been around. So it'd be nice to see him get some ice time. We'll see. We'll find out Saturday.
I got to see a bit more of Mitzi during the presentation night that Courtney and I were at last week when we went on air, and that was a fantastic experience just to hear him talking about his time in Newcastle, seeing his wife and his child there just playing with North Stars coloured balloons afterwards. It was so fun. But that's the advantage. It's one of the advantages that Newcastle have got that some of the other teams might not have. they've got a tandem. Whereas, for instance, the Thunder, if Bertan goes down, for instance, if Ashita goes down for the ice, they've got backups, but not at the same standard. Whereas Charlie and Mitty are very similar in standard between each other.
Yeah.
It could come down to how the guys are feeling on the particular day. I think it's that close at the moment between the two of them.
Yeah, it's similar with Brisbane, right? Like they've got Curtis. The next guys that come in are a bit of a step down from Curtis's level. So, yeah, if he's not there, they're in a bit of trouble.
Here's a controversial question. If you're the Canberra Brave playing 3 games in 3 days, because I think the 3 teams that have the best tandems would be the Bears, the North Stars, and the Brave. So if you come in knowing that you've got to win 3 games, do you split goaltending starts on the Friday and the Saturday between Tetro and Toivonen, knowing that if you get to the final, you don't want a guy coming in maybe without finals game time, or a guy coming in that's played 120 minutes of high intensity hockey? What do you do,
if not
Sean?
more? If not more, right? Like it could keep going to like double overtime and stuff like this.
Especially Newcastle this season.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in that sense, we're actually a bit lucky that Adelaide's not in the finals, because then like overtime is like almost a guarantee.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a really tough question. I don't know. I reckon you split. I reckon you play someone on the Friday and someone different on Saturday.
There was a massive difference.
Yeah, sorry, Eric.
There was a massive difference between Matt Harvey, where he was basically saying let's play all 3 games, and also with Liam Manwarring, who's like, no, we really appreciate having the Friday off, that sort of thing. And I think that mentality is probably going to go down to the goalies as well. In that situation, in the Canberra situation, in the Bears situation, in the North Star situation, you could literally split things down the middle, and that's a great advantage that those teams in particular have. But while I'm here, just like to talk about some of the Newcastle young players that Liam was mentioning. People like the Hunter Gatherer and Mackenzie McGallagher, that sort of thing. Hunter Allen especially, he has won the most improved player for the North Stars this season. And it was very, very hard for him. He wasn't getting a lot of ice time as a forward. And so he was offered a defensive role, and he's really leapt into that, and he plays in all sort of situations now, and he's getting a lot more ice time as D than he was at forward. And so to have the ability, as Liam said, to run all 4 lines rather than just your top 2, especially if you're talking about playing 3 games in 3 days, that's an advantage.
Yeah,
I think too, the way that the league has evolved, it's not a 2-line system anymore. You can't actually run 2 lines and succeed. Every team is too quick and too fit and so skilled that you've got to have that depth across at least 3 to really compete, especially come finals. So, yeah, I think
just talking about the growth in the league. This is a photo that you sent, Courtney, that Liam was talking about. Maybe talk us through the growth here.
Yeah, well, this is, as we like to call it, our family photo in Newcastle, and the top one was 7 years ago, and if you pay attention just to how zoomed in that shot is to the one below it that we did after the Mustangs game on the 10th of August, you can see so much more of the rink and just how many more people are there. Like, you can't even really see the players. They're scattered through there so much. So it's just the fans that show up week in and week out. Doesn't matter if you're winning, losing, tying, going to overtime. They are just there, and that growth is something special.
JJ, can you put that up again for me for a moment, please? Because I want people to notice the top photo. It sort of looks like the map of Australia, excluding Tasmania.
That's quite funny. I tell you
but
what, there's
yeah.
another good youngster on Newcastle, which we haven't mentioned yet, like Matthew Montgomery. He started a game this season, won, and for quite a while had the best save percentage in the league at 9.63.
And I think he had a goals against average of 1.
Yeah.
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 No, very lots of young players, Malik West and Drew Robson. Drew Robson is the nominee for Rookie of the Year and played well in defense. I tell you what, no team at finals will want to be going to the penalty box against the North Stars because their power play is a cheat code. Kyler Matthews is unreal at finding space, like just gliding into areas from the blue line, and next thing you know is at the top of the circle and ripping a snapshot past you. He's been great. Obviously Burno and Drolay are a cheat code in themselves as well.
And Yule also gets on the
Newcastle
score sheet all the time as well.
Team. Yeah.
For like
Alex
a D
Yule.
man.
Yeah.
Like it kind of reminds me, he kind of was the perfect replacement for Aiden Wagner, who started the season and then left because he was that as well for the North Stars early on. So,
final thoughts, peeps, before we go off into the Great White North. I don't know.
It's going to be. Sorry, Sean. It's going to be a fantastic weekend of hockey. Even if your team's not there, and if you can make it to Melbourne, please come along. Melbourne Ice fans, please go to games that don't involve the ice. Mustangs fans, love to see you down there. I actually won't be there this season, unfortunately, but I'll be very busy at Hockey Hype Australia Newcastle West headquarters.
I just want to thank the players that took the time just to compliment us in those interviews. I think it's, to me, the opinion that matters are the players. I know my personal drive is for them and to get more crowds showing up and to do what we can for them, and they're playing for us. So yeah, it's nice just to hear them say that they're noticing what we're doing, that they're seeing it, that they're taking the time to read what we're putting out there, and that's pretty cool. So
even if they don't want to know about what the other teams are going through, or vice versa.
Yeah, no, it's been really good to have the players give their time to us for all of these interviews.
And we should also mention, GG, in relation to the Hellier Conference, what we're doing tomorrow night in relation to the Hellier Conference.
Yeah, so we're back at it again, 7:30. The backdrop will hopefully be very different, as hopefully I will be on the road to Melbourne instead of still stuck here in Sydney. But yes, we have got 3 interviews lined, pre-recorded. Jamie Woodman for the Perth Thunder, Matt Caruana for the Melbourne Ice, and Ryan Annesley for the Sydney Bears. So we've had the Rurak today. We'll get the Hellier tomorrow. And then Friday finals, baby.
Yeah, and make sure anyone that's going to be there, make sure you keep an eye out for GG and I. Come and say hello.
Yeah, absolutely. And Abby, who's our producer in the background, will be there as well. And Ness Saros. So between the 4 of us, we'll be poking cameras and microphones in people's faces and getting them to tell us their opinions on things. So yeah, feel free, come say hi. And yeah, Andrew, John Egan heard that GG bites, so be careful. I'll be muzzled at finals. Go Thunder from Nicole Botja, Woody, Natasha Denton. He's a good egg. We talk AOE 2 and fantasy novels and a little bit of hockey. So it's gonna be really good. But yeah. Thanks for listening. You can, of course, watch a replay of this episode either on our Facebook feed or on our YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Do that if you like. You can listen to us in podcast form on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And you can find us on socials at Hockey Hype AUS and our website, hockeyhypeaustralia.com.au. Tristan Metcalf has been doing some absolutely brilliant preview articles for all the finals teams. So we've got 2 more lined up We had the Perth Thunder released today. All the Hellier teams already released. Sydney Bears and Melbourne Ice to be released over the next day or two. But in the meantime, on behalf of all of us, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your comments. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow night. Same time, same place.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, go.